Hi folks, I haven't done a video for a while. I've been struggling with some video editing software which isn't behaving itself, so I don't normally edit my videos, but I thought I'll give it a go. And I've been buggering about with video editing software, and I don't think my laptop's man enough, so I apologise to the few subscribers that I have got. And I mean, I don't really do this to gain thousands of subscribers. It's all my own personal opinion, and you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. And like I like watching other people's videos, I'm sure some people enjoy watching mine. And you know, it sort of occurred to me that even in the so-called freedom movement, you've got, you know, people trying to attack the system with common law courts. You've got people trying to do it with trusts. You've got people trying to do it with placards, and you know, you've also got the left-right paradigm. And at the end of the day, I think everybody's setting their sights too low, including me. There's a Luciferian satanic system that's going on, which is effectively satanic, run by corporations, and I mean, the final goal is obviously it's twofold. It's control of what's left of the population, because they don't make any secret of this stuff. UN Agenda 21, UN Agenda 2030, Sustainable Development, basically means culling the world population down to 500 million. They don't, you know, they don't make a secret of it because they're so arrogant. You know, you've got the Freemasons, which generally are training up the new, you know, the up and coming Luciferian priests. Obviously above them you've got a bloodline priest class, which goes right back to ancient Sumeria and that, you know. And I'm not saying there's not other secret societies or whatever that you don't see or that you hear about a lot that have obviously got other agendas, you know, I mean, but it all leads to the same thing. You've got a control grid, and religion leads a control grid. Then you've got the religion of government, which loads of people believe in, the religion of money, which loads of people believe in, and then you've got all these fake religions, you know. Luciferianism is the top one, you know. That's the one that's trying to run the world, and you know, the dystopian future. I think Aldous Huxley was telling us what's going to happen, and George Orwell was trying to warn us. But that's, you know, again, it's all personal opinion. I think if you can try and stop this divide and conquer, and don't let them suck you into it. I mean, you know, the left-right paradigm, I know that the world domination thing is going to end up in a sort of communitarian state where the corporations run everything. I mean, I watched a really interesting video yesterday by Gary Osram, and it was about Stalin, and about how they had quotas to kill people. They didn't care who it was or whatever. They just had quotas. And at one point in one evening, he condemned 3,500 people to death, and then went to the cinema. You you know, a proper psychopath, and you know, that's quite scary, really, because it could all happen again, and if the Luciferians get their way, it will happen again. Because, you know, 500 million on the planet, that's 500 million slaves. I mean, we're slaves now, because if somebody thinks that they've got the right to take the sweat of your labour and you've got no say in the matter, then that's slavery, isn't it? And that's exactly what happens with taxation, and with their thug gangs that they call the police and the army, who are just order followers. You know, the most evil people in the history of the planet have all been order followers. The police killed Jesus, you know, centurions, ordered by the priests, who, because when Jesus upset the moneylenders, the priests ganged up against him, because obviously they were raking off as well, and he was Jesus was slagging them off directly too, you know, saying things like, well, you know, the people will have to fast on the Sabbath, which is a Saturday, not Sunday, Jesus was pointing out their hypocrisy by saying, well, you've got all this food in the temple and you're stuffing your faces on the Sabbath, but the people aren't allowed to. And another priest said, does circumcision, he asked Jesus directly, does circumcision have any religious or any other kind of benefits? And Jesus just turned around and said, if the Lord had found a benefit in being circumcised, then he wouldn't have given you foreskins, would he? So that, you know, he's just showing up the hypocrisy of the priest class then, and it's no different now. How many priests do you see? You know, it's specifically usury is specifically forbidden in the Bible, and but how many priests do you see standing up and saying, "Don't lend money from the banks because it's all usury"? You know, it's charging interest. That's what usury means. You don't, do you? And you don't see the Church of England standing up and saying, we shouldn't go to war. War is wrong. Killing people for no reason is wrong. Dropping bombs on people is wrong to gain for a political agenda. See, but I mean, there's loads and loads of videos on YouTube and other platforms that where people are trying to persuade order followers to get on the right path. But you know, this is what, when somebody stands up and says, go and kill that child over there, and he goes, sir, yes sir, and he goes over there and sticks a bayonet in a child, well, what can you say about that if you don't know that that's not wrong, or that you want to shirk your responsibility and just do what you're told because it's easier, you don't have to think for yourself? Then there's no hope for you, is there? You know, and if a good person was in the police, then they can't be, by definition, a good person. Now, there's a few people recently, a few ex-MI5, ex-MI6, ex-police, ex-army, even some judges that are starting to question the system. Now, I would suggest that they've been so indoctrinated by the system that for them to wake up, people like John Wedger, who's been absolutely abused by the Metropolitan Police for doing his job, flagging up child abusers, and obviously he got too close, and Melanie Shaw, who's, I mean, she's not in, or wasn't in the police or anything like that, but you know, but the system vilifies these people who are really strong and stand up for what is right. They've come round. They've broken their conditioning. Sorry, I lost my thread there. They've broken their conditioning, their systematic conditioning, and they've stood up. All of a sudden, it must have dawned on them that they either knew right from wrong to begin with and ignored it. Remember, ignorance. Or they've woken up. Either way, they've done the right thing and they've been abused for it. And they because they've turned their back on it and they've gone down the right route. I call it karma because most people believe in karma, but as part of natural law, it's right from wrong, it's light from darkness, and the karmic effects or the light effects on their soul is going to be so good. You've got to remember that as far as order followers go, who carries the karmic negative karma, I can't think of the proper word, the negative karma for doing an evil deed? Is it the person who, I shouldn't say person, should I, because that's a legal fiction. Is it the man or woman who's telling the order follower what to do, the utterance, or is it the man or woman who's then going out and doing the act? And I personally think that although the person doing the utterance, not the person, the man or woman doing the utterance, will get some karmic negativity because they're obviously thinking evil deeds, but the order follower, the person who's jumped up and said sir, yes sir, and goes and bayonets the baby, they carry that negative karmic influence, majority of it. And this is how the system works. This is why these high level priest class has lasted for millennia. It's because they get other people to do their dirty work, so they don't carry the cosmic consequences of their actions, because they don't do them. So what I'm leading on to basically is, and I'm not just hassling the police, there are good people in the police, there are good people in the army, but they need to wake up, and people like John Wedger and that have woken up, and they're a fine example to others. And everybody, I think, what you need to do is you need to research the subject. People like Max Egan and Mark Passio, they're both teaching natural law. You must learn what natural law is. There's only one law in the universe, and that's natural law. There's a law and a rule. The golden rule, you've probably heard of that before, and that is do unto others what you want done to yourself, basically. So if you treat people like shit, you'll get shit back. And but that natural law, and there is only one law, because you are sovereign, so you're governed by that law whether you like it or not, and that's do no harm. And so you see what I'm getting at. These people who are giving the orders, they aren't doing as much harm as the man or woman who goes out and carries out the action. So excuse me a minute, I just need to concentrate going around this roundabout. So yeah, I think that sort of wraps this up for today. I might do another one later. It's about time I got back on the airwaves. Okay. Natural law, you must learn and start to implement it. Yeah, I haven't finished yet. If you do harm to people, you will just get the harm back again, and the way the system is set up is that if you don't follow the orders, they'll throw you in a cage or beat you up or take your stuff. Right? Well, they've got no right to do any of that. I mean, people talk about consent in the freedom movement and all the rest of it. You can't delegate your rights. You can't. It doesn't work like that. They think that they can delegate themselves right, or if you vote, that gives them the right to beat you up, take your stuff and throw you in a cage. But it doesn't give them any more rights than you've got. They just think it does. So you need to question it. You need to say no. You need to question what gives them the authority. Why they think that they've got the authority. And most of the time it's just assumed. They've got no idea. Somebody's given them a job and they've said, well, you've got to go and do this. And so they go out and they create evil and mayhem. I know somebody, I met somebody yesterday whose daughter is a single mum, and she earns £67 a week, and the council's taking her to court for council tax because she ain't got enough money to pay her rent. So there's a good chance she might end up homeless with a child. Of course, so then the state will take the child away because the mother gave him a contract to say that the state owns the child, and that's called the birth certificate. So she effectively hasn't got any rights over her child. They just take it away, and that's fine because she signed a contract. Contracts are binding in this satanic system because it's all contract. Everything's a contract, which is why you must rebut contracts. If somebody says you've got to do this, here's a piece of paper, just say no, I'm not signing that. I'm not doing that. Obviously it's difficult because if you're driving a car, say, and you get stopped by an order follower and you refuse to ID and all that, it'll probably smash your window, drag you out of the car, beat you up, and then charge you with assaulting a police officer. So if they ask for the state ID card, which is a driving license, well, why would you need a license to travel in the first place? Because it's an inalienable right to be able to move around on this planet without a piece of paper or a bit of plastic to tell you can. But we've all got one if we're driving. So, and their law says you've got to show your ID, right? But the letter of the law says you've got to identify yourself, and if you hold up the estate, you don't have to give them it, you don't have to get out of your car, you don't have to open the window, you can just stick your driving license against the inside of the window and you've identified yourself. Of course, then they'll get pissy and they'll look around the car for bald tyres and they'll say you were speeding, and then you've got to ask for the evidence, and then it just goes on and on and on, because they don't like being told no, because they've been conditioned, because they're order followers. And they've been told that they have to catch so many speeders this week, because they're all on targets. They'll tell you that they haven't got targets. Of course they've got fucking targets. This is what this is why they don't investigate crime anymore, because there's no money in it. But hate crime, they're bringing in all these privatised prisons. It's going to be like the US. They're bringing in all these privatised prisons. Of course, the state pays the prison, So then the prisons moan if there's not enough prisoners in them, so then it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle of we need to fill the prisons up, so arrest a few more people. So then they go out and they, with all the fake charges and basically fuck people over who are completely innocent. And there you are. And we go full circle back to Stalin again, aren't we? Just round people up, didn't care who they were, take them out to the field, out the back of their house, and put a bullet in the back of their heads. Or put them on a train to Siberia and work them to death. Well, it's coming, but it ain't going to last forever. So just remember, Constantine, Emperor Constantine, who created the Roman Church, the Catholics, which is an absolute, complete satanic, sun-worshipping, Luciferian gang. This is what concerns me, is that so many good Christians are being misled by the Bible. Now, why I say that, and there's a good reason why I say that, is because Constantine rounded up all the bishops of the early church, and there was Gnostics, there was Jews, there were well, not Jews, but lots of different sects, right? I can't name all of them because I haven't got that kind of memory, but they were exoteric Christians. They understood natural law, they understood right from wrong, they never used their religion for control, which is effectively what Luciferianism is, what Catholicism is. They had a conference. They call it a conference, but basically they were held there, and they were told if they didn't come up with a religion of control, then they'd be killed, basically. So, a true Christian would just have been, taking the sword. But a lot of these, obviously, you get fake priests and that in every religion and things, don't you? And the higher up you get, the more the corruption gets, because they get power hungry. But they took a huge amount of knowledge out of the Bible, and they put loads of stuff in. And the trouble is, this is what the religions of the world, and I class all the religions of the world as Luciferian one way or the other. Did you see that van then? The pyramid symbol on the front of the van. It's everywhere. So even if a religion is full of really good people, the fact that they're actually in a church is destructive, because then somebody will claim to have control over you, and you're a sovereign being, okay? It's up to you to learn the knowledge. I've been on this 2-3 years now, and I'm still only scratching the surface. I watch and listen to people, and I listen to it over and over again before it sinks in, because it just I struggle with the concept, because I've been so indoctrinated as well, but I am learning, and I've changed my views. I've changed my views on all sorts of things. I used to be a complete statist, I supported the government, and I was happy to pay me council tax and all the rest of it, and I was sucked into the mortgage thing, and because I've still got a mortgage, I don't want them taking my house away, so I have to pay my council tax. See, everything's done through threats of violence, and taking your stuff. If it was a truly Christian country or world, or a truly godlike world, if you like, there wouldn't be any of this coercion and theft and violence. It just wouldn't happen. So I worry about these esoteric Christians who are in churches, or not just Christians actually, but Buddhists and Muslims and everybody, all churches, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, you know, Catholics, and all these other religions. They're all being duped, I think. And as far as, I mean, I can't really talk for other religions, but I know a fair bit about Christianity. And once you see and understand how esoteric Jesus was, and he absolutely slated the priest class, and he actually warned against lending money, about being a priest or a scribe, as they were called then, about being in a religion. He taught that Christ's Spirit's in you, it's within you, and he talked about if you turn your back on the knowledge, you will surely die in the ale. And this is exactly what's happening. If you need to turn your TVs off, you need to stop reading the newspapers, get your news from reputable sources that show their sources. So, and there are some good ones around. I mean, I get a little bit of my news from RT, the mainstream, but I don't believe everything that's on there either. And when you start looking into it, you can see their propaganda slant on it, because they are the state arm of the Russian government. I don't watch the BBC at all anymore, because I just find it absolutely disgusting, the shite they come out with. And the newspaper arm of that is the Guardian, and that's absolute bollocks as well. Channel 4 is a state-run broadcaster pumping out propaganda. That's why we don't watch TV anymore. And I tell you what, these 6 months of not watching TV, and you really start to see through the lies. You know, I'll go round Mother's and she'll have the news on, and you can just see straight through it. I don't know why it is, but you don't even need to know what the subject is. And they talk. Maybe it's just that your common sense starts to come back, because you're not being fed these lies constantly, and so your common sense comes back. Your understanding of right and wrong gets stronger, and so then when they come out, it's like this poisoning. You know, this this drug overdose that they're painting as being a poisoning again in Salisbury. What a load of bollocks. I would suggest, if there's been 2 poisonings in Salisbury, it's so close to Portondown that they've got somebody in Portondown that's taking nerve agents out and spreading it around the countryside. Well, as if that's going to happen, you know. And the people spreading the nerve agent around would have to be dressed in an NBC suit and, you know, a nuclear, biological, chemical protection suit anyway. Otherwise, they'd be dead too. So, you know, it's just a load of bollocks. It really is. And if you step back from it all, you've got this left-right paradigm. You know, if you vote for the Labour Party, you're going to get this government, and if you vote for the Conservatives, you're going to get that government. Load of bollocks. It's all the same government. It's all run by the Cabinet Office and the people behind the scenes, which leads back to the Bilderberg Group and the Tavistock Institute and the Bank for International Settlements and whatever is above them, you know. So you know, turn your TVs off and that. Don't believe the bullshit, and I will catch you another day, or even later maybe. Have a great day. Cheers.